Welcome to Law-Splaining the Interwebs. I am your host, Nick Rekieta of Rekieta Law, a small law firm in central Minnesota that is definitely, well, I am not currently licensed to practice. Do not call me. I will not help you. I will not. And that should fulfill my obligation to the state of Minnesota and the ethical rules that I either am or am not under, because I'm either an attorney or not. Who knows? Who knows? It's nebulous. But yes, the last time I spoke to Kurt, which we'll go through a little bit more in detail later. But the context of it was I was at a tattoo convention with Lady Rackets in April. Many people saw us at that convention because first there was a news crew there. Well, I think all the pictures were from the news crew. And so of course we show up at the convention trying to stay low key at the time. It was July, shortly after the arrest. And there's a news camera right there on everyone walking in. There was no avoiding it. And someone found it and posted it, which wasn't that big of a deal. It was not a problem. It was just kind of funny because like trying to stay low key, but you get caught by a news camera, which was not as bad as that guy at the who got caught at the Coldplay concert, because that's awful. You never want to be seen at a Coldplay concert. It's a fate worse than death. Who cares that he was with someone else? It was more about, bro, you were at a Coldplay concert, and that's why he had to step down and resign. So it was something akin to that, but not of the same level, because didn't really care about being seen who I was with. It was just, in general, we were trying to stay low key. But that's okay. That night, I talked to Kurt on the phone very extensively. And a little bit later in the show, when it's appropriate, I'll give you the theme of how that conversation went, which I haven't talked about too much, but that's okay.
Nick, you need to be careful about saying the phrase "in April," just saying.
That was a bit below the belt. That was a bit below the belt. Lady Raggeds, do you not have a... Oh, you don't have a membership to the channel. How can I hide stuff from you if you have one? You're getting called out right now because it is based algorithmically on how much you watch the show, particularly live streams. And so, catching you lacking, girl.
1999 from Nate the Lawyer. Let's effing go. I'm glad to report that Nate the Lawyer is back home, by the way, for those of you who are concerned by his health. So he is back home with his family, and I look forward to seeing him tomorrow to catch up with him some more. And we're going to have a stream pretty soon in which we are going to recount the story of what happened. And I'm going to be there because Nate isn't necessarily a reliable narrator for all this, but I am because I was there. Nate was less there at the time, but we'll just...
Happy to hear that Nate is doing well, of course. This was yesterday. And Nate has been doing remarkably well, and that is fantastic.
On April the 12th of 2025, Mr. Hardin filed a Minnesota Judicial Branch copy request form, which we requested evidence submitted through the system by Nicholas Rekieta, including but not limited to the two files that Nicholas Rekieta's own lawyers put on the docket, which is just kind of hilarious, right? His own lawyers are the ones that filed it. So this entire situation...
Yes, because Minnesota law requires you to do so. And so Kurt's, this entire... Let's see what he says.
Is being created by a cell phone. So if...
It's not being created by a cell phone, Kurt. It's the literal legal requirement of the state to put proposed evidence into Mendez prior to the hearing. If you were to not put proposed evidence into Mendez prior to the hearing, it will not be able to be offered or accepted under the rules of practice established May 1st, 2025 in Minnesota. You must do this. This is a required process. I'll give you a little bit of leeway on not understanding the nuances of the process. But before you go ahead and call out a lawyer who actually practices for a self-own, you should maybe understand that you're procedurally retarded and you don't understand that He has to do this. It's not an optional thing. It's not a thing he did by mistake. It is the requirement of being a lawyer practicing in Minnesota. I know it's hard to get through your head, although less hard because there's no insulating ablative hair plating protecting it, but you need to try a little bit. You get some leeway for not being a Minnesota attorney. You don't get a leeway for being autistically retarded and wrong, which you frequently are. And the fact that no one has called you out on it for years and years has much more to do with you being so obviously autistic that it would feel mean than anything else. But I digress.
If this gets released, it's because Nicholas Rekieta wanted it released because he's the one that filed it. So,
Want is a strong word. Being resigned to the possibility of it having to be released to preserve a legal issue is a different one. Thankfully, we were able to resolve it without that happening.
So the irony could be very thick, my friends.
It could be if you were correct, but you're not, which is the problem that we run into all the time. And again, no one wants to call you out on it because they're scared of hurting your feelings. Because when your feelings get hurt, you lash out at women because women are small. That's what you do. Diceana says, isn't Kurt a patent attorney? Kurt is not a patent attorney. Kurt worked for the U.S. Patent Office for a while. He is no longer working there. He was not a patent attorney. In fact, up until recently, Kurt had never drafted nor filed a motion in court at all. He had never argued a motion in any case. He had never argued at a hearing. He had never presented himself in court unless it was to represent himself. And I'm not even sure he did that. That is something that Kurt never really told anybody, as far as I am aware, but that also happens to be true. Kurt was a licensed attorney, and all licensed attorneys are fully capable of doing that. He did not, however, do that until recently, in which he was hired by someone who appears to have stolen tools from someone else. Though they were not convicted of the theft itself, the tools were returned to the original and presumably correct owner of said tools. And Kurt's client, who at least attempted to convert or steal the tools, it appears, is suing the county for returning the tools to the actual owner rather than to the attempted non-owner. But that is the first case in which Kurt has written and filed anything with a court in any jurisdiction on behalf of a client. And that happened earlier this year. That case is still ongoing.
Oh my God, it's my unintended consequences again.
The unintended consequences of this is you're making an ass of yourself because you're actually incorrect. And you're carrying on about it, which is funnier.
The unintended results of my actions are coming back to plague me once again.
They're not.
What are the odds? Good times.
Listen.
On May
the unintended the unintended results of my actions, that waiting room is full. These are not that. That's the funny part here. You have infinite number of things to roast me on, and you chose that one? Okay. Good job.
the 1st of 2025, the Candy High District Court approved Mr. Hardin's request for access to the record. Specifically, the court noted it reviewed the evidence and was aware of the contents of the evidence, stating that 2 body cameras exhibits request to display unredacted displays of children who were present during the search warrant, along with viewing all rooms and spaces. We're perfectly comfortable having the children, blotted out if that's the issue. I'm pretty sure.
The children's privacy doesn't just extend to their faces, right? You're talking about wanting to look in their rooms. You're talking about wanting to look where they hang out, at their private things as well. The Fourth Amendment doesn't cover your face, but it does cover the right to be secure from unreasonable searches and seizures of your person, places, effects, and property. My kids didn't do anything in this scenario. they don't deserve any of this. And you can't be like, oh, your dad's a total screw up, so your privacy's, it doesn't work that way. Here we go real quick with this. This is the Minnesota Digital Exhibit System, which is hard to find. I know this is hard to find. You type in Mendez into Google and you can find this info right on the Minnesota Judicial Branch entire subheading about this system. But as of January 1st, any documents, photos, or audio or video recordings you want to offer at an evidentiary hearing or trial, called exhibits or evidence, for a judicial officer to consider, must be submitted electronically before the hearing or trial through the Minnesota Digital Exhibit System, unless the court has ordered you to submit exhibits in some other way, or the exhibit contains sexual content or nudity, including internet address linking to those materials. So, that being said, that's it. I know it's fun to call it a cell phone, Kurt, and make fun of lawyers who actually practice or whatever, and make fun of me because I'm so dumb and I never get anything right. Funny, you were happy to suck my dick on stream all the time about my legal takes. We would get into all sorts of erudite legal discussions, and you would tell me how I had interesting perspectives, how I was correct on the law all the time. Suddenly, I'm never correct on anything, right? You're wrong on this, and I can prove it, you fat bitch. But again, keep talking about it.
I'm pretty sure Mr. Hardin would be also happy to have the children's images, blurred out or whatever. I don't think.
Maybe you could have stopped at having the children's images, because if you want the truth, it's not that Mr. Hardin wants this. It's that that's what people want. They want images of the children. They want images of the children on a really, really horrible day. That's what they want, because they think it'll be humiliating to me or something like that. That will somehow be great, is to do that to the children to get to me. There's plenty of ways to make fun of me and get to me. It's been done for a year and a half now. But that's what they actually want.
I think that's the issue. Okay. But again, even if it is the issue, it's Nicholas Rekieta who did it, right? Nicholas Rekieta.
No, actually, I didn't take the body cam footage, and I did not change Minnesota law to make someone else have the ability to access it.
It is the one who filed the body camera footage.
The body cam footage was not filed. It was uploaded, Kurt, to the system. Read the thing. All you have to do is Google one thing, and it's the thing you're talking about, and you didn't do it. Which is kind of like that Supreme Court brief that you got fired before you filed, where you missed the main issue. The main issue. And ChatGPT tried to tell you, and you couldn't handle it, so you chimped out.
I'm actually getting pissed at this point in this brief. I'm getting mad.
You shouldn't be emotional about this, Kurt. The reason you're emotional is because you want me to lose. You've wanted me to lose for a long time. I said earlier that I would offer a little bit more about my last conversation with Kurt, which was a 90-minute phone call in a hotel hallway. That conversation effectively boiled down to jealousy over Kurt's perception of my relationship situation, finding it unfair that my relationship status at the time existed and his did not. Ever since that phone call, in which I did not in any way insult Kurt or demean him, or nor was I rude to him, other than to say some things, man, I can't talk to you about right now. Some things I can't say to you. I can't tell you everything. But other than that, I attempted to answer the questions that he had as best I could. Some of those questions involved the privacy of other people, which I was not going to disclose to Kurt. And when Kurt doesn't get what he wants, he gets angry. And Kurt was on my side up until that conversation, which was around July of last year. It was not around. It was in July of last year. I have been trying for years now to help Kurt be presentable to the opposite gender, whatever that may be. I don't know what the opposite gender of a refrigerator is, but I know that he's cold and stuffs a bunch of food on the inside. So I think that's what it is. But I don't know what the opposite is. But I've been trying to help him out. He never followed any of my advice or tips, and that's fine. But then he was mad at me for what he lacked, which I had nothing to do with at all. Only ever tried to help him. If you want to know the secret, there it is. If you want to know why Kurt's incel rage suddenly manifested in late July and continued on, slowly declining from that point to where he was laughing at the prospect of me going to jail, even though we had expressly negotiated that out with the county attorney. If you want to know why, that's it. Why do you get 2 and I only have 0? Okay, Kurt.
Specifically, the criminal defendant argued the 2 officers had violated a third-party Miranda rights after the party expressly requested an attorney. If the state were to attempt to present evidence in violation of Miranda, that could be prosecutorial misconduct. The state said explicitly that they weren't going to use the statements against, what's the whore's name? What's her name? I forget.
What's he going to say here? This will be interesting. He forgets her name? Okay.
I want to say Ashley, but that doesn't sound right.
How deeply have you been reading, Kurt? I wonder if you're going to confuse April with Ashley. That means you've been heavily researching the dramatic elements of the subject and not just the legal elements. Why is that? Why is that?
Against the whore. So yeah, they said that they.
Wow. And there it is. Someone who's never spoken to or about Kurt, who has not commented publicly on this situation at all. He refers to as a whore. Wow. Little bit rude, if you ask me. Where is that coming from? Oh, I don't know. Why do you get 2 and I get 0? Ooh, it's not fair. Okay.
They said they wouldn't use the information, so it's fine. April, thank you. I knew it was an April. I couldn't quite come up with it. April, thank you.
No, see, instead of referencing Aaron Imholt's ex-wife, you referenced his first ex-wife by first name, which means you've been reading beyond the legal issues. So curious for that juicy drama, aren't you, Kurt? I don't want to get involved.
Yeah, they said they wouldn't use it against April, so no problem.
Let's go with incel statements. We're going to add that to the counter. We're at incel statements 1 so far, and this is, of course, this counter is sponsored by Kurt's Dating Advice and Chicken Shop, in which the incel statement at question is him calling a person he's never met, nor even spoken with, and has no reason to believe a whore, which would state very, very frankly that she had sexual intercourse in exchange for money. I'm not aware of any such scenario in which that took place. But hey, I guess Kurt thinks so.
Facts. In May 2024, information came to the attention of the Candiai County Sheriff's Office that Nicholas Rekieta was in possession of controlled substance. He sure was. He was also in possession of a woman that didn't belong to him.
All right. Okay. The incel energy has just dramatically increased. I'm sorry. In possession of and woman who didn't belong to him are some wild statements. I think that counts as 2. I think that counts as 2 incel statements at once. One, that I would be in possession of a woman unless I were, of course, like someone could theoretically be in possession of someone if they were involved in human trafficking or slavery, right? Which I was not, to be very clear. But also a woman who did not belong to him. The belonging of one person to another is a weird perspective. Very, very weird. So we are going to go ahead and mark that as 2 incel statements. So that puts us up to 3 incel statements.
And at the time, belonged to another man.
Belonged to another man. Again, he's going to do this a lot, I think. We're up to 4. Belonged to at the relevant time in question. the time of the arrest. Those two were separated and pursuing divorce. So I don't know that belonging to someone else and condemning them to remain with said person who has admitted to physically abusing the person that they presumably owned, has admitted on a live stream to that person was being, that the person that belonged to them was being just too loud. And so he admitted to squeezing her forcefully against her will and without her consent until she would just be quiet because she was just too loud. This is not an allegation. This is his description, because they were arguing and the kids were around and she was being just too loud. So he needed to squeeze her until she was quiet against her will or consent. And also to gingerly press his forehead hard into hers so she would understand she was being too loud. She belonged to him though, right, Kurt? Ben Ryder says, wait, for real? Yes, this is beyond allegation. Again, this was his explanation of the event. His personal explanation was that they were arguing, she was too loud, and he needed her to be quiet so the kids didn't hear them arguing, so he squeezed her until she was quiet. It's on his own live stream. Look at how salty he is. He's not mad about drug possession. That's not his problem. He's in possession of a woman who didn't belong to him, but belonged to another man. Who have you been talking to, Kurt? I wonder who it is. Oh no. Did I hack the Googles?
That the Rekieta's arrest was unlawful and suppressing statements made by Rekieta subsequent to arrest, suppressing statements made by April, the whore, in Malte, subsequent to her Miranda.
There we are. 5 incel statements. Again, calling a woman he has never met or nor talked to my knowledge, a whore for no apparent reason. Amazing. Who have you been talking to behind the scenes, Kurt? You sound like someone. Who do you sound like? I wonder. Maybe it's the man she belonged to.
He uploaded onto MNDES multiple times, including application for
multiple items,
search warrant, Rekieta video, PowerPoint, KCSO supplement, Rekieta picture, letter from KCHHS, recording of the Steel Toe Morning Show, Holla, Detective Pomplin.
Holla. Oh, very interesting. It's very interesting. Who have you been talking to, Kurt? Who have you been talking to? The person who so abused his ex-wives that both of them made statements about physical abuse. Both of them have expressed fear of this person. Holla, right? Like, he's all good with you, right, Kurt? I'm not surprised in the slightest, because Kurt hates women. He hates them. He hates the idea that any woman might like me at all. He hates it. He is so in his feelings, so jealous of the concept. Why don't I get one? They're mine. They belong to me.
On April the 21st of 2024, the omnibus hearing was held. The court asked defense attorney what the issues were. When the issue of...
Wait a minute. What was that little Freudian issue? Who's on your mind, Kurt? Why are you thinking so much about April? This is weird.
Body cam footage from the search warrant execution. On April the 21st of
April the 21st? I thought it was August 21st. Very, very strange. Who's on your mind, Kurt? And why? Why is that? What have you been doing lately?
2024, the omnibus hearing was held. The court asked defense attorney what the issues were. When the issue of Mrs. Inholte statement, otherwise known as the whore, was...
Good Lord. Wow. We have now... I don't know that his longing thought that made him think of her instead of August counts, but he did call her a whore again, which brings us to 6 incel statements, and I have a feeling this is going to keep going up. Life in general says, starting to think Kurt is a communist or just a spoiled brat. First, he threw a tantrum over you not sharing money. Now he's pissed you didn't share April and wonders why people don't play well with him. Well, I mean, anyone who looks at a woman or man and decides that they should be owned or belong to someone else is wild. Unless that person, I guess some people could be in a consensual, submissive relationship in which they consider themselves to be owned or belonged to by someone else. Like I guess that could happen. I'm not aware of that in any instance that is relevant here.
Someone said, can I not be a disrespectful pig? Well,
again, be disrespectful to me all day. Why are you mad at April? He has no reason to be mad at April. He's not involved with anyone involved. Well, he might be. He might be involved with someone in this situation, but he's not involved with anyone in this situation in the way that would allow any reasonable anger towards April. Nothing at all. Nor Lady Raggets for that matter. Right? Like there's nothing here. He has every reason to be annoyed with me, and predating me making fun of him. He still has reasons to be annoyed with me. That's fine. I've never suggested that he shouldn't be annoyed with me or mad at me. I suggested that it was frustrating when he made false statements about me and took glee in the prospect of me going to jail and stuff like that. I didn't think that was very friendly behavior, and I had not done anything to him at that point. Since then, of course, I have mocked him over and over again, and will continue to do so. I have no reason to stop. But he has no reason to be mad at anyone else in this scenario at all, unless he's joined forces with another person with a similar potential status in the penile area.
you can put a dress on it, but a pig is still a pig. It's...
Yeah, you are. Someone said, can you not be a disgusting pig? That's really funny. As Kurt would say, self-own, which is also an interesting thing because I know someone else who makes the self-own joke. Who have you been talking to, Kurt? It's really interesting that he would do that, but this is a self-own because let's listen to the question.
Someone said, can I not be a disrespectful pig? Well,
so he's the pig, right? Like that's the implication of the question.
You can put a dress on it, but a pig is still a pig.
Self-owned right there. Yeah, Kurt, we know. How many times do you put dresses on?
It's like, that's a dumb comment.
Is it?
Would you prefer I call her a vacuous free use slut? I could do that.
Vacuous free use slut. And now we're starting to get into Kurt's porn preferences. Free use is a category of pornography. Also, Kurt, how deep are you involved in the lifestyle, or do you want to be? Because that is another term that, if not associated with pornography, is associated with lifestyle behavior. Lifestyle is a coy, general term that encompasses the exploration of maybe alternative or taboo sexual fantasies or kinks. If you don't know what free use means, as either a porn category or a lifestyle exploration, it's the same thing. It's the idea that you have a standing consent agreement for some period of time, maybe even forever, whatever, with someone else, that at any time, you have consent to sexual activity at any and all times, hence the free use. Yet again, I'm not aware of any such arrangement by anybody that I know at all in my entire life. So his assertion that she is a free use slut is not really appropriate, nor accurate. That's very, very incel energy, and we are up to 7 incel statements at this point. Look at the anger towards someone he has never even met.
Although she did use cocaine, so arguably she was being paid in cocaine, or so. I mean,
Arguably, she was being paid in cocaine. Again, these like the level of fantasy involved in these people's assessments of someone that they don't know in a situation that they don't know is unreal. And let me just go ahead and tell you flat out that Kurt knows that that's not true. He knows that that's not true, which makes him a massive pile of trash. Absolutely unreal.
or she was paying in cocaine.
Or she was paying in cocaine. That now we're up to nine.
I don't know. It could have been.
You don't know those factual assertions that you made, because Kurt, as you know, factual assertions about specific activity, particularly criminal activity, in which both prostitution, which is being compensated for sex directly, not in some indirect manosphere way, but directly, and the distribution of drugs, also in exchange for sexual activity, are illegal. And you have accused two people, well, one person directly and one person by implication, but maybe more than one person by implication, of engaging in that criminal enterprise. And you've now said you don't know, which means you entertain serious doubts about what you're saying.
Your crazy stalker is in the chat. She got one of my gifted membos. Find her and ban that psycho. Timid Tiger something. She deleted the message before I could boot her.
Timid Tiger is a rather insane person, but Kurt here is engaging in defamation of potentially a public figure, also potentially a private figure who has been silent for quite some time, by asserting specific acts that have that happened that are criminal in nature, when he knows for a fact, or has been given reliable information, that that is not true, which is very, very disgusting of him. But it also just shows that he's a giant incel bitch.
I don't think me being disrespectful is the problem here. I really don't.
You don't? Again, you're not being disrespectful to me. Be disrespectful to me. You're being disrespectful to someone who you have no connection to, except for that kind of glaringly obvious connection that you have subsequently made.
Also, she's a disrespected person. So,
A disrespected person. So since other people have disrespected someone, it is now sufficient to disrespect them as well. Which, I mean, that's an ethos.
or I would have, but Nick Rekieta took care of that for me.
I didn't disrespect her at all. I would never say those things in any capacity. That's crazy.
To be honest, so I think she's got that covered.
Again, the person concerned about the status of this woman is the person who has obviously been talking to her abusive, self-admittedly abusive ex-husband, borrowing phrases and expressions from him, reveling in calling that person's ex-wife a whore and other names. Very weak energy, bro.
Maybe just use her name. No, I prefer whore or slut. No, I don't think sluts and whores don't get names.
There we go. That's three more statements. He prefers whore or slut. Sluts and whores don't get names. Amazing. Why do you prefer those? Again, what interest is there for you in any of this? This is phenomenal. I haven't seen this, by the way. I heard some nasty things were said. That's about the extent of it.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, I haven't seen this, but I was reading the chat, let me be extremely specific. I was looking at this on mute because I wasn't in a place where I could listen to it. I was reading his chat, and many members of his chat fully endorsed this, completely on board with it. So it's good, because Kurt will always have an audience.
Oh yeah, no, Nick Rekieta's wife was also doing all that stuff too. So if you want to say that about Nick Rekieta's wife, that's true too.
Oh, is it? My wife was also doing that stuff too. And you said that's true. So again, making a factual statement about someone who has wanted to be private. So there we go. There we go. This is a woman he has met multiple times and who is nothing but exceedingly kind to him. Nothing but exceedingly kind. Who, by the way, did not engage in said activities, Kurt.
Just talking about April right now, but yeah, I mean they all were breaking vows.
What vow?
And yeah. So yeah, all those things. Yeah. Yep.
Very interesting take from someone who is unaware of any vows or the breaking thereof.
And I suppose also Nick Rekieta is also a slut, and also
Yes.
Steel Toe's also a slut. They're all sluts and whores.
Maybe, I don't know. They're all sluts and whores. I'll take on slut gladly. Happily to do so.
Yeah. So but I need to
Again, disrespect me all day. I don't care. I'm sorry, Kurt. Did I have too much sex for you? I apologize. I apologize that I exceeded the Kurt sex threshold.
I need a way to distinguish them if I'm going to not refer to any of them by name. Because if I call them all sluts and whores, it's going to get confusing.
It's also wildly defamatory and very inappropriate in general. Again, of a woman you've never met, who's never said anything about you at all. A woman you have met who's only been kind to you. Me, I don't care if you call me a slut or a whore. Like, go for it. Plenty of people can make that determination based on things I've said publicly. Go ahead. It doesn't bother me.
Using who I'm talking about. I'll figure it out. Well, we could call one DS9 whore. We got DS9 whore, blonde whore, steel whore.
So we're now up to 15 incel statements. He's getting wildly personal here again. The only person involved in this situation who tangentially affected Kurt is me. Whose actions, and not these actions, by the way. The actions of getting arrested and, having this public scandal tangentially affected Kurt, because Kurt is someone who has, been associated with me and stuff like that. And so I guess by the barest tangential association, I will be very clear. Kurt never engaged in any degeneracy with me. In fact, when I was engaged in various degeneracies and Kurt called or texted me, I ignored it entirely or told him, not now. I'm not going to talk to you right now. That happened plenty of times because, when I was engaged in various degeneracies, I didn't want to be anywhere around Kurt, the most depressing monster on earth. Holy shit. Bring Eeyore to the strip club, will you? No. Dear God. That being said, nobody's activities in any of this, other than my tangential effect on Kurt, affected him in the slightest. So this is crowing about something that is not relevant to him.
Grown-ass women do grown-ass things without permission from anything pretending to be a man. Grow some balls, Kurt, and stop expecting adults to toe your line of stupid expectations.
Nailed it. This guy right here is going to tell you how women should behave. Can you imagine?
Is that unambiguous enough?
I think I'm the coke.
We could try that.
I think I'm the coke.
Well, we'll give that a try. See how that goes.
I'll take it again. I'll take all the whoring accusations you can levy.
Concubine whore.
Concubine whore. So that's a new one. New incel statement. Again, neither being technically accurate, I don't think.
Wife whore and concubine whore.
There's two more. I can barely keep up.
Maybe that's the way to go.
Yeah, that's the way to go, Kurt. By the way, to anybody asking me to stop going after Kurt, no, I won't. Bendo says, I really hope Nick didn't recommend Kurt those glasses. Kurt has followed none of the stylistic advice that I gave him. He should have. He would be happier now.
Unless it's actually used in the proceeding, it doesn't count. That sounds like That sounds correct.
It is
The
correct.
applicant seeks to circumvent this determination by relying on errors made by the court administrator, incorrectly identifying the data as admitted, and allowing others to access based on the.
There we go. There's the answer. It was done by court admin. I wasn't sure if it's court admin or the court clerk, but it's court admin. By the way, I have lingering suspicions about the source of various leaked documents. And I'm not entirely sure that the mislabeling only of the body cam footage in this case was an accident. Lingering suspicion. Who knows? Maybe it'll come up somewhere.
Based on the same error. But these circumstances are not situations. Yeah, the court made a mistake. Even
Stop
if the
rubbing
court
your
said all
nose,
those
make
things,
me
the
do
court
it.
made a mistake. It's not
You're
bound
making
by
me
those
miss
mistakes
stuff.
forever. April remarried? Well, I don't care whether or not she remarried or not. Also, if I were her new husband, what's the saying? You can't shake the whore tree and expect a wife to fall out?
Whoa. Whew, we just upped the incel statements. I wish the incel statement count could accurately capture the incel rage that's going on. Like, I'm not a huge fan of that term, but it is here. I mean, it is legitimately at this point, I think it is safe to sufficiently call this whatever incel rage is. This is it. I mean, this is someone who is so clearly angry at women for making decisions that do not affect him in the slightest. In the slightest. Women who would never give him the time of day either, but never be rude about it. They would never be rude or mean to him in any way. At least one woman who has asked me, maybe, maybe even in light of everything, maybe, are you sure you want to do this? I wonder if she'll have the same opinion now. That's something I guess I'll have to explore.
The issue of the wenches statements were not addressed in the.
So much anger at women, again, who are not involved with Kurt in any way. I mean, which describes pretty much all women. Wenches is also a very, very interesting phrase. Who have you been talking to, Kurt? Who have you been talking to? I know someone else who used that phrase. And I know another person who told that person, hey, maybe we need to work on how you talk to women because it's kind of killing any mood that could possibly exist amongst any person ever. Drier in the Sahara every time you talk. Nakadashi Tomodachi says, 5 hours of Kurt seethe. Yes, Kurt is seething in this. That is correct. This man knows what the audience wants. 400K subscriber party when? As soon as I get there, I'm aiming for it. We're trying to get to 400,000 subscribers. It'll be fantastic, and we'll have a lot of fun when it happens.
Blah, blah, blah. Yeah, okay, great. So
I love it. I love it. I love it. He says it's bad. He doesn't even read the brief. Kurt is so angry. So angry. He doesn't know how to channel his anger. He's trying to hide it, right? Claiming that he'll be objective, trying to do all that stuff, but also just randomly lashing out at two women who have never in any way harmed him or even been in a position to cause him harm. One of whom specifically was kind to him, even though he smells disgusting and is horrifying to be around. And I can personally verify that, and so can several women who have been in his presence. Unanimous decision that he is insanely disgusting and creepy to be around. From every single woman I know who has been around him. All of them.
We poor baby. Kurt called a spade and a whore 22 times. Maybe don't open up your marriage. Stop being a cuck, admitting you miss April.
Okay. None of this affects you at all. So, or Kurt, but all right.
Do you think that mushy queer Josh Moon is obsessed enough with seeing where your kids sleep to take this all the way to the Minnesota Supreme Court?
He has indicated that he is. He has indicated that he is obsessed enough to do so. He may have, also said something that he really shouldn't have, but we'll see if that comes up.